Hello, guys, are you able to hear me? Great. Hi, Aryan, how are you? Hi, Sanjana. How is everyone doing? Sunday morning. Great. So, do we have Aryan here? We have Sanjana here. Someone else? Great, great. Same here, Sanjana. Same thoughts here. Looking for a great session. So, apart from Sanjana and Aryan, do we have anyone else? I see almost 8 attendees here. I guess 5 of them are students. Shreya, you here? Great. So, Sanjana and Aryan, since we guys are talking to each other, can you just let me know what are you doing, what is your profile, and then we'll start straight away. Great. And Aryan, you? All right. So, guys, can we start? Since the session is for 1 hour, I'll have to be really, really fast. Great. So, what I would do is, you guys are able to see the MS Word document that is being shared, right? Which is titled as Subject Verb Agreement article. So, what we would do is, we would start the topic figuring out why is subject verb agreement very important, right? Then we will move on to understand with respect to common admission test or any other management entrances examination, how important is subject verb agreement. We'll go on to discuss some of the strategies, some of the ways that we should be incorporating in our daily day-to-day life to make sure that we end up doing subject verb agreement quite well or getting most of the answers right. And then we would figure out a couple of fundamentals around it. Is that clear? So I might not, and I'm sure I would not be able to complete all the basic rules of subject verb agreement. In any way, you can go through the article, understand a couple of rules. I've added one example, two example for every rule, and then probably in the next couple of webinar sessions, I'll be more than happy to clear those doubts. Is that clear? Great. So what we would do is I'll go through the definition once and then I'll add on to what I feel is important for you guys. So it says subject verb agreement or SVA. This is particularly an exam lingo that we talk about. All right. So henceforth, if I say SVA, assume that I'm talking about subject verb agreement. This is one of the most important topics of English grammar. Remember this extremely clearly. Everything and anything in English grammar, spoken English or written English, follows subject verb agreement, right? It says it is one of the basic fundamentals on which the grammar and spoken English is built. And remember that spoken English has to be fundamentally correct in order to have a fluent communication, right? So a lot of people in my daily day-to-day life have stopped emphasizing on the importance of grammar in oral communication. Remember, I can be extremely fluent and make a lot of grammatical mistakes, might not be catchable to a lot of people I'm speaking to, but if you realize someone who is extremely good in English and you're talking to him with a lot of grammatical mistakes, that does leave a lot of bad impression, right? So it's always good to have a great fluency in English, and also at the same time it is also great to be fundamentally correct while speaking out grammar. All right. Is my voice clear, guys? Great. So let's go to what are we talking about here. The top common admission test here. Santosh, can you close down your webcam, please? Great. So what we would do is we'll realize the importance of this particular topic with respect to the common admission test that we guys are aiming. So grammar, if you realize last year when CAT was conducted, we did not have even one question in grammar. But having said that, we cannot take this to be a thumb rule for every year's CAT, right? Realize that CAT is as important as an IIT, JEE or a civil services or a medical examination. And anything and everything that comes in 1 year, say 2015, cannot be termed as a benchmark for 2016. Right? Having said that, the kind of examination CAT is and the kind of institutes that we target through it, will have to be extremely attentive and prepared for any kind of question that can come. And grammar is something which is very basic to English. So if IIM Bangalore is conducting common admission test this year, I assume that grammar might make a return. And if grammar is making a return, I'm absolutely sure that subject verb agreement has to be an important part in it. All right. So let's read this. With respect to CAT, grammar has been essentially testing subject verb agreement on a regular basis. And remember, if you have at least 4 or 5 questions in CAT in English grammar, you would have at least 2 to 3 questions that could use subject verb agreement directly or a concept involved in it. Is this clear, guys, till now? How important is subject verb agreement? And then we'll move ahead. Can we go ahead? Great. So ideally, questions in subject verb agreement have been moderately difficult. Yes, you might have an offbeat easy question here and there, but I have always termed subject verb agreement as a moderately difficult topic, right? And remember, grammar in English, I'm sure if you've gone through common admission tests, basic fundamentals, we have RC, right? Then we have, any idea? We have parajumbles, right? We have critical reasoning, and probably we have paracompletion, right? So if you look at these 4 basic fundamental topics that have been coming in common admission test, all these 4 topics are not rule specific, right? They are more on the side of logical basis, right? Grammar is one area in CAT and English which is more about rule, and thus this is one topic which you, if you remember the rules, you can get these questions 10 on 10, right? So 10 on 10 getting an something correct 10 in 10 in an examination like common admission test will be a great go. All right, right? So let's go ahead. What do you need to do to make sure that you end up getting all questions in subject agreement correct? So if you look at this, the strategies that I'll advise you to go is, all you need to do is to remember the rules laid down in subject verb agreement, then catch the subject. This is very important, and you would realize as and when we move forward in this session, and the main verb in the subject, and all you need to do is to match them in the numbers, right? So before moving ahead, we'll go with a very basic rule here. Remember this extremely clearly. A singular noun takes a singular verb, a plural noun takes a plural verb. Will we remember this for the rest of the session? Singular say singular verb, plural noun say plural verb. Is that clear? Great. So for what you need to do in the next 3 or 4 weeks, 5-6 weeks, basis what year are you in? If you're giving CAT 2016, the time that you should give to subject verb agreement should drastically come down to 4 to 7 days. And as Sanjana is in BTech 3rd year, she at least has a year more to attempt CAT. She can probably be a little more time taking and devote around say 1 month or a 1.5 month to subject verb agreement, right? How do you do this? What material to refer to? Okay, Sanjana, fair enough. So that way it comes down to 7 or 8 days for you as well, right? So what you need to do is you need to pick up any grammar book and learn all the rules in subject verb agreement. When I say any grammar book, pick up any of the grammar book available in the market which is according to CAT standard. Wren and Martin for fundamentals in subject verb agreement is a good book as well. And I'll tell you, this is very important. Not a lot of people do this. if you go to GMAT, fair amount of idea what GMAT is? Do realize what a GMAT is, right? So the important thing over here is that GMAT specifically tests you on 3 basic fundamental parts in English. So one is an RC, one is a critical reasoning, and the third one is grammar, which is typically called as sentence correction in English in GMAT. Sentence correction has a very important component which is basis on the rules from subject verb agreement. All right. So what you can do is you can ideally practice 50 to 60 questions from GMAT. This is extremely important for any of the examinations that you attempt. You definitely have to go through the past year papers of CAT. You would not get CAT past year papers from 2009 since CAT went online. But before that, right from 2002 to 2008, grammar was an integral component, and you should always make sure that you end up doing all the past year papers and do at least 200 questions from CAT, right? So if you see there are 10 plus different rules to be remembered and understood, right? So for every rule, if you end up practicing at least 20 to 25 questions, you would not have to memorize them, you would get into practice of doing that. All right, so let's go ahead. Any idea on what is a noun? How do we define noun? Can you guys write something? What is a noun? Any idea on this? And let's make this session a bit more interactive. You guys helping me to figure out a couple of things. Name a proper thing, right? So name a proper thing. I've written that definition for you guys. That noun is a name of a person, place, animal or thing. The basic 450 definition hoti thi, right? Will you remember that? Also there is one more addition to this, which is called as the name of a feeling as well, right? So when I say honesty is the best policy, noun kya hoga usme? When I say honesty is the best policy, what is the noun? So then what is the noun in the sentence, right? So honesty is the noun. Honesty is not the name of a person. It would look very weird, right? What is your name? My name is Honesty. It is not the name of a place, not the name of an animal, not the name of a thing. So noun also incorporates in its definition that it could also be a feeling. All right. What is a subject? When I talk about noun, what is a subject? Any idea on that? Any idea on what is a subject? Right, who performs an action, right? So doer of the action. Action matlab kya hota hai? Can we call this particular action as the verb here? Right, so this is the verb for me. Someone who does that work is classified as subject, and someone who receives it is classified as an object, right? So when I talk about a sentence called the boy hit the ball, what would be the subject? When I say the boy hit the ball, right? And what would be the receiver of the action? Ball. So the subject would be boy and the receiver would be, the object would be ball. Fair enough? Great. So what is a singular? What is singular quantity? So something which is one in quantity, example boys, would be what? Singular. And something which is more than one in quantity would be counted as plural, right? Are the definitions clear till now? Everything clear? What is a subject? What is an object? What is a singular noun? What is a plural noun? Great. Let's go ahead. Can anyone let me know what is the first person, second person, third person? Does anyone remember that? What is the first person, second person, third person? Can anyone help me out with that? Great. So what I would do is, guys, I would write second is the other person and third person, Sanjana. So एक बहुत ही I'll define first person, second person and third person as a very layman term. I always like to take up examples which are very practical to the world around you. So we have always had an aunties in the mohallas who like to give the information to other people, right? उसका बेटा ये कर रहा है, उसकी बेटी ये कर रही है, वो भाग गई है, right? We always have these kind of relatives, right? So we would take those relatives into our examples, since those relatives have never been any use to us except for making sure that they ask our results on the result day, right? So I have one of my buddy buas who has never remembered my birthday, but she's always remembered when the CAT results are out, right? So, and these Amar Ujala, so I come from Uttar Pradesh, right? So these newspapers like Amar Ujala, Dainik Jagran have those big photos of toppers in the next year's newspaper. So my bua reads that, and the next moment what she does is she calls my home number and asks me कि बेटा CAT का कैसा रहा result, right? So the first person for me is I, someone who is making that conversation. The second person is you, someone whom I'm speaking to, right? So if I am talking to my mother, see, this is I, right? I am talking to my mother, telling to my mother that I could not score a very good percentile in CAT, and all these bigger set, जो बड़ा सा Venn diagram है, जो relative वाला set होता है, someone who hears to this conversation and makes sure that it is propagated in the mohalla is third person, right? So first person, someone who is making that conversation. Second person is someone who is taking that conversation directly. So when I say taking that conversation directly, is hearing that to that conversation is an active participant, or anyone who is hearing that conversation who is not a part of that active conversation, probably my relative, would go on to become my third person. Is this definition clear, guys? Let's have a yes from everyone who's responding, and then I would move to this table. Great. Ayan, is this understandable? Gau, is this understandable? Amit, what I was saying is, I was defining who are first person, second person and third person. So first person is someone who is making that conversation. I is the first conversation with the first person. Second person is someone who I am speaking to, right? So if you're speaking to your mom about your CAT preparation, that mom, I'm doing this, I'm reading 3 to 4 hours daily. And the third person are your relatives, right? Relatives who have no active interest in the conversation, but they're only there to listen to that conversation. All right. So let's go to this important table, right? Objective case. So objective is, just leave this objective case for now as a word. I'll just go to this table, which is extremely important. All right. So this first person, second person, third person, this table is extremely important for every one of you to understand the subject verb agreement rules, right? So remember this, first person singular is I. Remember this very clearly. First person plural is we. Second person is you. The second person plural is also you. The third person is he, she and it. Can anyone tell me when do I use he? Can anyone tell me when do I use he? Any idea? I'm giving you 10-20 seconds. Tell me when would I use he, when would I use she, when would I use it? Okay. So what is the difference? It is a pronoun, no doubt, right? So he is typically referred to someone as male. She, when do I use she? Female. And it is for animals. And something else? As right, so in case of female, Amit, it is she. Sanjana, do we use it only for animals? And things as well, right? Right, things. So when I say it is a beautiful table, the table is made up of wood and I am using it for it. Okay, so one interesting question here. Can you tell me what do I use for this guy? Child. Would I use he, she or it? What would I use for child? It. Amit, any idea? He or she? Okay. Anyone else who would want to give an answer to this? So remember this as an archaic English. So when I say archaic English, I'm talking about a very written form of English which was used by Britisher. For child, I am allowed to use it. Okay. But in the modern day language, I can also use he or she. But with respect to cat, make sure that whenever you have child, you tend to use it. Is that clear? Sanjana, I'm saying for child, you use it and not he or she. Is that clear? Great. So let's go ahead now. Since the webinar, I am doing things a little fast. Great. So this topic now is very important. This table is now for us very important. The first rule that we will take today in today's webinar, the two very important rule is that subject verb agreement applies only to the third person. Can anyone tell me what do I mean by this when I say subject verb agreement applies only to in the third person? Any ideas? All right, so let's go back to this table once. So we know that I, we, you, he, she, it and they are something that I use. Now let's try to add a verb to it. Can anyone tell me what is a sentence? And then we'll go to this definition. What is a sentence? Collection of words. Is that the only thing that I know about sentence? So when I say go to the market, I am. That's a collection of words, but it's not a sentence, right? Which has meaning, right? So, and in proper order, fair enough. So a sentence is something which is a collection of words plus proper sense, right? Now can you tell me what are, which absolutely Amit, can you tell me the important points in a sentence? So it should have a subject and it should also have a verb, right? The basic sentence will at least have a subject and at least a verb, right? And then I can add on to conjunction, prepositions, object, but that would only make the sentence better. When I talk about a complete sentence, I can have one subject and one verb and call that as a complete sentence. So understand, if I am writing a verb which is called play here. I play, is this grammatically correct? I play. Is this grammatically correct, guys? Great. So the moment we write we, I also write, so now what would be the correction if it is not grammatically correct? Can you correct this for me? So that is continuous, right, Amit? I am not even bothered about continuous. That's a tense play. So is this sentence grammatically wrong? I play. It's not grammatically wrong, right? It's grammatically correct. When I talk about we, is we play grammatically correct? Is we play grammatically correct? Right? It's grammatically correct. When I talk about second person singular, you play, is this grammatically correct? This is grammatically correct, right? This is grammatically correct when I take on second person plural, right? Now come to this. The moment I go for third person singular, he, I write plays and not play. Is this grammatically correct? The third person singular form. Would it be he plays or he played? Why? Right? So it would not be he play, but it would be he plays, right? That means this particular sentence which I'm writing now is grammatically incorrect. And the moment I convert this particular he and she to plural sense, I write they play. Is this grammatically correct, guys? They play. Right? So what is the difference here? The difference is between plays and play, right? So this is third person singular, this is third person plural, right? And remember this very clearly. Probably I've written this as a rule as well. Just give me guys 1 minute so that I can drag down, and then I'll come back to this table, which is very, very important. All right. So do you guys remember that the plural form of verb is without an S or with an S? Can anyone tell me that? The plural form of verb. Is that without S or with S? Without S or with S? Okay. So how do we remember this? Because it actually is a very confusing word. So let's go back to noun. Let's take a very, very simple noun called boy. This is a noun, right? And let's not go into what is this, a common noun or a proper noun. This is a noun, right? Boy is a noun. Everyone gets this? Is this singular or plural? Because this is very easy, right? Is this singular or plural? This particular word boy. It is singular, right? How do we make it plural? By writing an S at the end of it, right? So this particular word boys for me becomes my plural, right? Is this thing clear till now? So remember, whatever happens, whatever rule you apply to make the plural of a noun, the reverse happens in verb. So boy rule is inversely proportional to noun. Can we remember this scientific rule? Can we remember the scientific rule? So what I'm writing here, I'm writing 1 upon, Sanjana, just give me a minute, I'll repeat that. So I'm saying, how do you convert the noun, singular noun into plural noun? By adding an S, Sanjana, right? Sanjana, are you able to hear me, right? And what do we do in verb is we do the reverse of this. So to convert the singular noun into a plural noun, I will add an S. To convert a singular verb into a plural verb, I will remove S. Is this clear, Sanjana? Right? So if you go and see this, this is a singular noun. It should have taken a singular verb, right? So the singular verb, as I went ahead with this rule, is with an S. Right, so this becomes grammatically correct, he plays. And the moment I convert this noun into plural, right, I wrote this as they, and this has to be in plural, the play has to be in plural, which is actually without an S. Is this clear, guys? 30-40 seconds take here, go back to this particular rule, and then we will move ahead. And then I'll have a yes from everyone who's attending, and I'll move ahead. Great. Right? Fair enough. So let's go to the next rule now. The next rule which is there says that subject verb agreement applies only in present tense. Is that clear, guys? Can anyone help me with this? When I say subject verb agreement applies only in present tense. So Amit, can you help me typing here only with the places that you're typing? What do I mean by this? Okay. Right. So let's take an example here only. The moment I write I play, so यहाँ तो लगेगा ही नहीं, right? यहाँ पे तो ऐसे भी लग ही नहीं रहा. So I'll not bother myself with this. I'll only bother myself with this, right? Because these are the two places where there is a change in the verb form, right? So if I write the past tense over here, do I write PLAYSED or do I write PLAYED? What do I write? Right, I write PLAYED, right? So if you see there, subject of agreement applies only in present tense. If you change the tense of all the sentences to past, when I say all the sentences, all the 6 sentences which I have written in the table, the verb will form will change to played. Even with the third person singular, I'm talking about this particular part, the verb form would not be placed, but it would be played only, right? And how would I convert all these sentences into plural, into future? Any idea on that? How would I convert that into plural? So try not to use ing form here, Amit. What would I write? Will play, right? So when I say I will play, we will play, you will play, you will play, they will play. Will I write he will plays or he will play? What would I write? Right? He will play. In other words, what am I saying is, the moment I went to past tense, I did not use this S. The moment I was in future tense, I did not use S. But the moment I came to present tense, I started using an S at the end of the play. That means subject verb agreement applies only in present tense first of all, and subject verb agreement applies only in the third person. Are both the rules clear, guys? And this is extremely important, right? These are two of the fundamental rules. Is the table clear? Is the way I showed that through a table, is that clear? Right? So whenever you tend to forget that, when does the subject verb agreement rule apply? Is it only applicable to present tense? Is it only applicable to past, first person, second person? Take up the simplest of the sentences that I take, right, that I took the first person I, singular first person plural we, you, he, she, and then they, right? So the only thing that you will have to remember in this table is the first person singular is I, first person plural is we, and all that stuff, and use the simplest of the verb, play, cook, whatever it is that is comfortable to you, and start doing this plays and okay cook wali exercise. All right, let's go ahead. It says a verb should agree with the subject in numbers. Do not be confused. Remember, a verb should agree with the subject and not the other way around. What do I understand by this? That if I write a subject, a sentence called, so I'm writing a sentence here, guys, and tell me what would be the correction by writing in the start window. If I write they cooks, is the sentence clear? They cooks. So what would be the correction? Would it be they cook or would it be he cooks? Can I not have he cook? So he cooks. Alright, Sanjana, I can also have he cooks, right? I can also have he cooks. So tell me what would be your final answer? They cook or he cooks? And why do you go he cooks would be the right answer and not they cooks? They cook, Roy, sorry. Any rule with that? So remember, we are making a mistake here. Right, so Amit, what is the harm in writing they cook? So when I write, so this is they cooks, right? So when I correct this, what I would do is I would rub this, right? Since what I've done is I've rubbed this, and if I correct this sentence in terms of changing the subject, I would write he cooks, right? So what have I done over here is I have changed the subject, and in this what I have done is I have changed the verb form. Which one is correct? So if I number this as 1 and I number this as 2, which is correct? Well, which is a better way of correcting it, 1 or 2? Okay, Sanjana, I'll take your answer 1. Amit, what would you say, 1 or 2? Santosh, what would you say? 2, okay. Any other answers on this? So remember, when you're getting this question in common admission test, and read this, a verb should agree with the subject and not the other way around. Right? That means if the subject is singular, the verb has to be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb has to be plural. In other words, I'm saying that if the subject is singular, the verb has to be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb has to be plural and not the other way around. So when I wrote they cooks, Santosh, when I'm saying that a singular subject has to take a singular verb, if you go with this, Sanjana, am I audible? Right, so my mic is correct, it's showing me a green signal. Right, so Santosh, can you check your mic once at your end and confirm me if you are able to hear me? Great. So Amit, what I was saying is that a singular subject will have to take a singular verb and a plural subject will have to take a plural verb. In other words, what I was saying is that you cannot change the subject. You will always and always work on making the verb in agreement with the subject and not the other way around. In simpler words, whenever you're getting an error in subject verb agreement, you will always have to attack the verb and not the subject. So when I write they cooks, I would change cooks and not they. Is that clear? So when I write they cooks, the correct form of writing that would be they cook and not he cooks. I am not at all allowed to change the subject of the sentence, though I am more than happy and I'm more than allowed to change the verb form. Is this clear? Is this rule clear? And if we have a yes from everyone, I'll move ahead. So Amit, Santosh, audible and clear? Great. So let's go ahead to the next topic here. Right. So I'm assuming that you guys know the difference between singular and plural subjects. I'll take up very important verbs here. Okay. Right. So the first rule is this document shareable. Is this document clear? This particular part, don't get bothered by the words. Is this visible to everyone? Great. So what I would do is I would take up the first 5 important rules here, right, since I have to end this webinar at 12 o'clock. Okay. So this is the important rule. The 4th rule is something that we would take the first. It says if 2 subjects, remember these words, if 2 subjects are joined by conjunction called and, they typically would take a plural verb form. Remember this word called typically. This is very, very important, right? And I'll tell you why this word typically is being used here. So Ram and Ravi, can you tell me the subjects here? What are the 2 subjects here? In this subject, what are the subjects in this sentence? Can anyone help me with that? Ram and Ravi, right? So guys, how many subjects are here? 1 or 2? So there are 2 subjects. Let's go back to the fundamental rule. Anything which is 1 is singular, anything which is more than 1 is plural. So is the subject singular or plural? Right, the subject is plural, that means singular, so plural subject has to take a plural verb, right? So is this verb which is being used are, is this correct or wrong? Is this correct or wrong? Why is it wrong, Amit? But is, so tell me, is a singular verb or a plural verb? Is singular है या plural है? Amit, is singular or plural? Is not a plural, Amit. Is actually singular. So don't go by that definition. वो proper वो जो definition होती है verb वाली, when you add an s, right? So that are, those are helping verbs. So these are helping verbs. Is, are, right? So is this sentence grammatically correct or incorrect? Ram and Ravi are going to the market. Is this sentence grammatically correct or incorrect? Right? So this sentence is grammatically correct. So I would write C here. That means it's grammatically correct. Now there is a very important exception. I would not call that as an exception, but a very important branch of this rule, which says the verb is singular if the two subjects separated by and refer to the same person or thing. We'll take an example on that. So in this particular sentence, science and technology, what are the subjects here? In this particular sentence, can you tell me the subjects? Science and technology, right? Everyone agreed on this? So are the two subjects separate or are they referring to one thing together? So do we count them as one or do we count them as two different things? We count them as one thing, right? When I count them as one thing, the subject, right? It is a subject and it is a one thing. Would the subject be singular or plural? The subject would be singular, right? If the subject is singular, the verb has to be singular or plural? Verb क्या होगा? Singular होगा, right? Right? That means if I am using the verb is here, is this grammatically correct or incorrect? Is the sentence grammatically correct? Right? The sentence is grammatically correct here, right? Did you appreciate the difference between the example in sentence number 4 and example in sentence number 5? Is the difference clear? Great. So can you give me one more example on this particular line? Santosh, when I'm saying that if the two subjects are talking about two different things, so Ram and Ravi are two different persons, right? If Ram and Ravi are two different persons, that means I'm talking about two persons here. Anything greater than one, is it singular or plural? Santosh? Right? Anything greater than one is plural. Ram and Ravi are two people, they are plural. That means verb will be singular or plural. Santosh, the verb would be singular or plural? The verb would be plural, and that is where I write are. Are is a plural verb, right? But if you come to this particular sentence, science and technology, though there are two different subjects, but if you look at these two subjects, they are taken together as one. Right? Taken together as one, they are singular, and thus this subject, these two subjects will take up a singular verb, which is. Can anyone give me one more example from this particular part? The sun and earth is an important part of the solar system, right? Bread and butter, bat and ball is important, right? Bread and butter, remember bread and butter is essential for one's living, right? Great. So are the two rules clear? Is the difference between the two rules clear? That is very important, right? At a lot of examinations, at a lot of questions in CAT, the important thing for you would not just to find out whether the verb would be singular or plural. तो किस पे decide होगा? If these two subjects are referring to the same thing or the different thing. All right. Can I go to the next sentence? Next rule. Great. So let's go to the next thing. This is very important. Rule number 8. It says if the subjects are both singular. Remember, this is very important. If both the subjects are singular, and are connected by the words or, nor, neither, nor, either, or, and not only but also. We'll take this as a rule and we'll memorize all these words. Neither, nor, either, or, and not only but also. These three are very important for both CAT and GMAT. Am I making sense here? And I'll take that through an example as well. Right? Okay. So, and are we able to see this sentence? So, can you tell me, यहाँ पे subject कौन-कौन से हैं इस वाले sentence में? Either Ravi or his cousin is to blame for the accident. What are the subjects here? Ravi, right? First is Ravi. And the second subject is cousin, right? So, are both the subjects singular independently? Right? Both the subjects are singular independently. Right? That means the subjects are independent singular mein, but how many subjects are there? Are the number of subjects is the number, so right? So there the number of subjects is 2. So should we take singular or plural? Basic rule. Should we take singular or plural? Right? The basic says that we should take plural. But if we go through the rule, it says if the subjects are both singular and are connected by the words or, nor, neither, nor, either, or, and not only but also, the verb is singular. And that is the reason I have used is here and not are. So the basic rule says I should have used, right? Since you guys tell me that Ravi and cousin, there are 2 different subjects. If we have 2 different subjects, I would have to use a plural verb, but I am using is. Why? Because the rule tells me this. Is this clear, guys? Why did I use is and not are? And this is very important. Great. So we'll memorize these rules, and as I said, there are a couple of rules in English in subject verb agreement that you have to remember very, very clearly. So either or, neither nor. If the subjects are singular, I would. So Amit, I'm saying that between either and or, if we have 2 different subjects and both the subjects are singular, I would take a singular subject, singular verb. All right, is this clear, guys? Great. So let's go to the next rule now with the same thing. So this, we'll go to rule number 10 now. It says if the subjects are both plural and are connected by the words or, nor, neither, nor, either, or. This is the same rule that I'm extending. The only difference I'm doing is वहाँ पे I had both subjects as singular, यहाँ पे I have both subjects as plural. The verb is used as plural. So let's see this. Can you go through this sentence, either one, and tell me the subjects here? What are the subjects in this sentence? What are the subjects? Boys. First subject is boys. Second subject is, right, girls. So both the subjects in their independent capacity are plural, right? If both the subjects in their independent capacity are plural, and I am using a phrase like or, nor, neither, nor, either, or, and not only but also, my verb would be plural. So the verb for me over here is not is, but it is are. Is this clear, guys? Right? What is the difference between the 2 sentences? Sentences number 8 and sentence number 10 is that in sentence number 8, both my subjects are singular. In sentence number 10, both my subjects are plural. Gaurav, is there someone, Gaurav, who's talking? I'm actually able to hear some noises. Guys, are you able to hear the same noises? A female voice? Right. And the name is actually, I have given the power of talking to Gaurav. So either Gaurav has a feminine voice or Gaurav is using a feminine name, both of which are not correct in the classroom. One of those. Just give me a minute, guys. All right, so I'm just left with 8-9 minutes of the session. I'll end the session with 2 more important rules, 1 or 2. Right. So what we have done is we have taken 2 different permutation combination. I could have 2 subjects. So in rule number 8, I took both the subjects as singular. In rule number 10, I took both the subjects as plural. The only thing that I'm left is that what if one subject is plural and the other subject is plural? So one subject is singular, the other subject is plural. So let's go to rule number 8. Give me a minute, guys. It's actually disturbing now. All right.
ट्रेनिंग का बात नहीं यहाँ तो और लोग तो आते ही नहीं, हम लोग उधर यूज करे जाते हैं और लोग तो आते ही नहीं. ट्रेनिंग का मैटर नहीं है, मैटर है कि देखो बोलना पड़ेगा, फिर हम वापस आएंगे, फिर यहाँ पे नोटंकी करेंगे.
No, not Sanjana. There's one more Sanjana for me. Sanjana, I'm so sorry. Bhavna, Sanjana, is that you?
हाँ, ठीक है, वो हुआ. फिर दूसरा चीज ये हुआ कि मतलब obviously अब करनी है तो चलो कुछ इम्पैक्टिंग के बारे में बात.
Just give me a minute, guys. I'll just get this sorted.
बहुत अपना फ्लाइट में चली गई. प्रॉब्लम तो हमको होएगा ना कि और होएगा कि चलो जम्मू से वहाँ से यहाँ पागल हो जाएंगे उनको.
Right. I can see that, Sanjana. That is what I'm trying to figure out. So that I'll just ping Gaurav directly.
भुवनेश्वर की फ्लाइट से नहीं है ना, कलकत्ता का फ्लाइट है. भुवनेश्वर से दिल्ली तक फ्लाइट.
I know, guys, but let's not disturb with your Calcutta flight. Right, Amit, I'm able to hear everything clearly. And Gaurav definitely has a feminine voice. Alright, guys, what we'll do is I'll take up this rule and then I'll get the company guys sorted this. Right, let's go back to this rule. So I had subjects being singular. Sanjana, so let's finish this rule and then we'll close this class. So I had taken both the subjects as singular. I had taken both the subjects as plural. The only thing that was left for me was one subject being singular and one subject being plural. And I've taken that clearly and separately in rule number 11. It says if one subject is singular and one plural and the words are connected by the words or, nor, neither, nor, either, or, and not only but also. Now this is very important. Read this very carefully. We use the verb form of the subject that is nearest to the verb. Remember this word very, very clearly. Remember this word very, very clearly. The word is nearest. Alright? And what do I mean by this? I'll show you with an example. Can you tell me what are the subjects in this sentence, this particular sentence? Can anyone tell me two different subjects in this sentence? One is Ravi and the other subject is friends, right? So Ravi, is Ravi singular or plural? Is Ravi singular or plural? Ravi is singular, right? Friends, is it plural or singular? This is plural, right? So one subject Ravi is singular, the other subject friends is plural. So I have to take a definite answer to this, whether the verb would be singular or plural, right? Because the verb can agree either to Ravi, which is singular. In that case, the verb has to be singular, or else if I have to agree it with friends, that has to be plural. The rule tells me that the verb will agree to the subject that is nearest to the verb. The verb is here, right? ये verb है, right? यहीं पे confusion होगा कि यहाँ पे has आएगा या have, right? The correct answer for this sentence would be have, because as the rule suggests that the verb form of the subject has to be nearest to the verb. So how would I do this kind of sentences? How would I solve these kind of sentences? Mark your verb. So this is my verb, right? Start moving towards the subject. चलते गए चलते गए चलते गए. First subject कौन सा आया मेरे पे? Friends, right? So look at this purely from if you're walking on a road. You are the verb and you are walking on the road to try to find a subject for you, right? So assume it to be a Kumbh ka Mela. Kumbh ka Mela mein verb mein you are the brother and you're trying to find a Kumbh ke Mela mein khone wala brother for you. And you know that the first guy you would find, the first subject that you would find will be your brother. So chalte gaye, sabse pehle kaun mila? I get to see friends. I ask friends, hey friends, are you singular or plural? What would friends reply? I am. What would friends reply? Is friends singular or plural? It's plural, right? Hey, the verb will say, hey, how are you? Let's match. Let's match. That means if you are plural, I will take the plural form. If you are singular, I will take the singular form. Is the rule clear? Is the Kumbh ka Mele wala analogy clear, guys? Are we clear on this? Great. So let's define rule number 8. Both the subjects have to be singular. My verb will be singular. Rule number 10. Both the subjects are plural. The verb becomes plural. If one subject is singular and the other subject is plural, the verb agrees to the subject it is nearest to. And all these three sentences have one thing is common, that they all use neither nor, either or, not only but also, or and nor. Is this clear that all these rules will only be applicable to sentences which have a either or, neither nor, not only but also format? Anything else apart from these format? We have different rules for that. Yes, Ravi, I can take one more example for this last rule. So I would actually reverse this. So I would write either Ravi's, so I'll not use Ravi, I'll use my name. My name is very good. Either Ayush's cousins or Ayush is / are going for a movie. Is this clear to everyone? Is this visible to everyone in the chat window? Great. So what would be the answer? Either Ayush's cousins or Ayush. It will be is. Why? Because I am confused between is and are, right? Absolutely right. I would start moving to the subjects, right? The first subject that I encounter is Ayush, right? Ayush is singular, therefore verb would be singular, right? Is the chat window clear, guys? Great. Clear with all the three rules? Singular mein, plural mein, great guys. Alright guys, so what I would do is I cannot extend this session since the webinar was of 1 hour. How was the session before ending this? How was the session? So Shubha, this document is already shared. It's on the Spanidia website. It's in the form of a webinar. And apart from these particular rules, I have more rules as well. So I did not take all the rules. In the coming classes, we'll take all the rules. Yes, Amit. Is that the request for the document? Right. If you guys do not have a link to the document, I'll ask, or probably you'll get a feedback mail after this particular session. You guys can request for the document. Before signing off, how was the session? Did you like this? Right. I'm sure you would have actually had grammars in other sessions, other trainers as well. Great. Thanks. So I'll tell that to happen, to have this frequently. In fact, we can cover all the CAT things during these sessions, right? The complete grammar, the complete RC. And do refer to your friends, since this webinar is free. You can refer this webinar to your friends as well. Great. So guys, give me 1 minute. I'll just tell the administrator of the session to end this session. Great. Thanks a lot, Shubha. Great. So what we can do is we can figure out if you guys are working. If you guys are all working somewhere in the industry, or you guys have sessions in your college in the morning, we can have these sessions in the nights as well. Don't worry. All right. Great.